Hey guys, I coming at you today, Rated Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. Happy to have you all here talking about some JAGG Bonesaw today. As customary, let's open up with a few shoutouts to you guys who are putting in these champion requests on a daily basis here on the channel. I will eventually get to them all. I'm sorry, there's a lot more on my list to make guides on than there are of the guides I've actually made yet, so I'm not ignoring your comments. It's just, one video a day. I only have 365 guides a year here on the channel, maybe a little bit less than that. Take off a few Sundays and holidays, right? Roadblock 247 looking for a Jag. You pulled them on a 2X Ancient. We have Trey Graphics. We have Not Another Roach. We have Darren looking for a Jag guide. Sir Trex looking for a JAGG Bonesaw guide. Clifton Holmes looking for some Bonesaw. And then we have Thugzilla looking for also pulled Jag on a 10X. Jason Butler pulled Jag. Joya B pulled Jag. We get Luke, man, a lot of you guys. Shout out to everybody. I guess I don't have time to give shout outs to everybody. Rex with the request as well. Let's go ahead and jump into it here. Who is this JAGG Bonesaw and why does everybody want to see him in action? Find out now. So JAGG Bonesaw is a legendary orc champion, spirit affinity. You guys can see him. He looks freaking badass, right? He's got the bonesaw. He's got the bonesaw, which is really, really cool. Rev it up, man. Rev it up. Just absolutely shredding everything in his wake here. He's even got it in his head. The blade in his head, man. I mean, aesthetically, a pretty good description of the guy's name and his overall kind of flavor that he's adding to the aesthetic here. We have base stats 1531 on the attack is pretty good. Defense is okay for an attack-based champion. 1,000. 101 is, I would say, average. And then HP maybe slightly below average at just shy of 16k. So he is pretty squishy. That should obviously inform the way you're going to be building this champion. If you want to use him in, say, Hydra as a buff remover DPS, you want to make sure you can build him to take a hit or two as well. On the A1, Razor Wheel attacks one enemy, steals 10% of the target's turn meter, and then has a 25% chance at repeating this skill. That makes him, stealing 10% turn meter might not sound like much, but it's really good. Plus the repeat of the skill makes him instantly viable as a DPS in Dark Fae with that control on the A1 or anybody else who you need to control. On the A2, Shred the Flesh on a 3-turn cooldown. Only 3 books here, 4 books there, and 3. Not too bad on the books on this champion, all things considered. A 2-time hit on the A2 before attacking transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target. Damage from the first hit increases by 10% for each debuff transferred. Okay. Then applies a debuff spread effect, taking 2 random debuffs from the target, placing them on all enemies. Damage from the second hit increases by 5% for each debuff transferred, and each debuff applied through the debuff spread effect. Obviously, you can get some nice extra damage there on both hits. The more enemies, the better, because it's going to get, more damage off that debuff spread based on the debuffs on that second hit. It's a pretty dang cool ability. Obviously, we mentioned Hydra. Obviously, the Arena can be very useful in this ability, as well as the Dragon, right? Because the Dragon, he is going to go ahead and transfer all those poisons back to the Dragon, especially on Dragon Hard. So definite utility as a DPS in Dragon Hard as well. Kind of like a Stultus Dragonbane type thing. Not exactly the same because it's on his passive, but one of those reflect type things, kind of like a Yumeko A2. All a little bit different, but you guys get the point. Lacerating Tempest on the A3 ability, 4-turn cooldown when booked. Attacks all enemies before attacking, removes all buffs from all enemies. Damage again increases by 5% for each buff removed. Very good against a Go second team, a tankier team with a lot of buffs inside the arena. Notable that he will also remove, similar to a Sun Wukong, will remove Stone Skin, or at least have a chance at removing Stone Skin, right? Fills his champion's turn meter of 15% for each enemy killed by this skill. Okay. And then the passive. Rev up the saw, baby. At the start of this champion's turn, places an increased accuracy buff and an increased crit damage buff on them for 1 turn. I love this, man. At the end of this champion's turn, places a decreased crit rate and a decreased crit damage on the enemy with the highest crit damage for 1 turn. Basically helping to mitigate the damage done by their hardest nuker on the enemy team. Also useful. I especially love the first part of this. There's no cooldown. It just happens at the end of every one of his turns, obviously, or at the start, excuse me, of every one of his turns and the end. but I love the increased accuracy because obviously we do need the accuracy to steal the turn meter and to transfer the debuffs and, of course, to remove all the buffs from all enemies. So this kind of alleviates the need to have just an amazingly sky-high amount of accuracy, which is great. And he's doing more damage with increased crit damage. The reason I love this passive so much is Shemnath, right? I learned on Shemnath with Humbled and Broken, attacks all enemies. The first hit removes all buffs. Second hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense against targets that have no active buffs, right? So a great ability on a 3-turn cooldown, no less. I have a guide on Shemnath as well. The challenge on Shemnath, though, is very difficult to build Shemnath to be an OP and nuker and have enough accuracy, especially in the arena, to always be removing all those buffs. And again, that passive increased accuracy at the start of the turn really helps alleviate that need on JAGG Bonesaw. All right, so let's go ahead and see how I built this champ. Before we do that, let's go ahead and see where we can use this dude, right? So hellhades.com gives them a 4 overall grading, which is high, right? They're usually pretty stingy on throwing out the 4s and the 5s in terms of overall grading. They give him a 4.5 on Doom Tower. They give him a 3.5 on Clan Boss as a raw DPS. Spider Fire Knight, 4 stars. No hard mode dragon except for, no hard mode dungeon except for dragon gets more than 2 stars. Notable there. So definitely not going to be using this champion a lot of hard mode dragon, or why do I keep saying hard mode dragons? Hard mode dungeons. However, I would say dragon, heck, I mean, if you can keep him alive, I would give him probably like a 4 in hard mode dragon, maybe even a 4.5. Doom Tower. The good thing about Stalthus is that he's easy to keep alive as a defense-based champion because that dragon hits very hard. Anyway, we have Nether Spider, a 4. Obviously good on the A1 as well with a turn meter. And then Dark Fae, a 3. Again, I would probably argue he could be a 3.5, maybe 4 on Dark Fae with that control on the A1. In the arena, they give him a 4-star. And I think that's his best use case, is the arena. And where do they give him for Hydra anyway? I'm curious here. Hydra only 2.5. Only 2.5. I think that's a little low. He's not my favorite Hydra clan boss champion in the world because despite having crazy multipliers, which we'll look at right now, his damage is not off the charts. And that's the bummer on this champion. However, that's more of a PvE thing. In the arena, he can hit decently hard. But anyway, we'll give some comps and some, talk about why we still like him a little bit as we progress through the video, through the guide. 3.7 godlike rating on the A1. That's a very hard hitting A1. That goes up there as one of the hardest hitting A1s in the game for an attack-based champion that I can recall. As a matter of fact, that might be up there with Kanderfon. Let me check. So guys, comparing him to other hard-hitting A1s in the game, Lord Shazar has a triple hitter on his A1. So he has like that Giant Slayer potential as well, but a 1.3, right? So obviously really good, a 3.9 total, if you extrapolate damage rating there. So he's right up there with Lord Shazar in a way. This is Candyman. So Kanderfon has a 3 attack rating on the A1, but it's an extra hit if the target is under any buff. So he has that's why he has the hardest hitting A1 in the game. You can get a 3 times 2 on that A1. I say all that to say that, yeah, 3.7, very hard hitting. We have a godlike overall damage rating on the A2 as well, a 3 attack, plus the debuffs transferred. And then we have a 4 on the AoE, a 4 godlike damage rating again. That multiplier is not that insane, but it's healthy considering that we are removing all of their buffs, predicated we can actually do that. Now, there's no built-in ignore defense, which is where this champion, unlike a Shemnath, for example, what he makes up in his passive, he lacks in the overall damage because, of course, against other champions and even in Doom Tower waves, right, what's really going to dictate a lot of that damage is how much ignore defense that we can build into this kid. So we're really kind of stymied at, around 50%, potentially, maybe a little bit higher, 55, if we put Cruel Gear on him as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and pull him up, how we have him geared out. Surprise, surprise, we have him built up as a, typical damage dealer, right? We have him in Savage Gear. Now, as I mentioned, adding some Cruel Gear would be really good on this champion because we want to bump up that ignore defense. So I would go with a 2-piece Cruel set, a 2-piece Perception if we need to get that accuracy a little bit higher, or we can go with crit damage, right? Those would be the 3 options. Of course, I went with a broken set, as you guys can see here, because, well, sometimes you got to go with broken sets in this game, right? So we have crit damage on the gauntlets, got a nice attack percentage ascension there as well. That helps out a lot. We have attack percentage on the chest. I also got more attack there too, but I haven't totally ascended it. And then we have a speed on the boots, okay? We have accuracy on the banner. I would advise going accuracy, even despite the passive. We still want to build them with a decent amount of accuracy. I'm aiming for around 300 for the mid to the late game, right? We have crit damage on the amulet, and we have attack on the ring. Now, if I was going to use him in Hydra or Dungeons or Doom Tower Waves as a DPS, I would definitely swap out the ring for an HP, right? I think that, or swap out the attack for an HP. You cannot neglect this dude's low attack, and the last thing that you want to have happen with this dude is him to give aggro on enemies because his HP is so low. So take that into consideration. However, I don't see that as a big issue in the arena, and this is really, it's an arena build, but it's an all-around build. I would use this same exact build, maybe slotting out again that ring. That would be the only change that I would make if I was really relying on him for PvE content. So blessings, I have none on him right now. I do not have him awakened, but I would probably go with Soul Reap for the arena. Of course, for PvE, you could go with Cruelty, or you could go with Crushing Rend. It feels like with DPS, I mean, I'm often starting to go Crushing Rend, Cruelty, Brimstone, or Soul Reap. It's like those four. I mean, I should include Phantom Touch as well. Those 5 blessings are kind of my go-to depending on what situation I'm using these champions, right? So because he has the turn meter steal on the A1, I think that going with Phantom Touch and having him as a progression champion in Fire Knight Dungeon, if you really need the help in the DPS there, I think that he could be, you know, he could be well served in that role as well, but you'd have to go with Phantom Touch to help out with that A1 on the hits and the shield. Let's go ahead and pick out our masteries together here, guys. We're going to go with a very typical build that you see me use a lot here for just a nukers, right? Shield Breaker, we come down, Ruthless Ambush, we have a choice, of going Cycle of Violence, or going with Opportunist. I'm going to go with Opportunist because I do have Kymar setting him up in the arena. We're going to go single out. We're going to bring it down. Bring it down, very good, 6% extra damage against targets with higher max HP. That's going to apply to every boss in the game and most champions that we attack in the game because this guy is fairly squishy. We're going to go with Kill Streak, and we're going to go with Helm Smasher. Here, I'll move out of the way so you guys can see the selections as we go over to the support side of things. We're going to pick up Accuracy, more accuracy, and you guessed it, more accuracy. Laura Steele not going to help us out in this build. We're going to go, the weird thing about this dude is he is landing debuffs. It's 100% on that passive, right? So I think the idea here would be going Evil Eye, and then Master Hexer to extend the decreased crit rate, the decreased crit damage vis-a-vis his passive. No need to go Sniper on this champion. Everything's 100% chance of happening, as provided you can land it. We will go with Methodical. You could go with Blood Shield as well as an alternative there. So those are the masteries, guys. Let's go ahead and push things over, give this dude a run. In the arena, where else, right? I think we did a good job. What is this? Oh, no. It's not that bad of an offer, but it's $100, man. No, I don't want your autumn pack, dude. Get out of here. All right, let's go arena, guys. I talked about the other areas that I would recommend using this champion, and again, that would be Dark Fae, Dungeon Progression, Doom Tower Wave Damage, Hydra, if you can keep him alive. There's a quick little damage check from him. Not too bad, but I think he's best served in the arena. He could play like a flex role, right? A lot of accounts, unless you have Yannica, right, or Cleotyrix, and those are 2 accessible and really good spirit nukers, right? If you don't have either of those, if you haven't used your clan points or whatever, I think it can be a very serviceable spirit affinity nuker to kind of sub in when you're going against a lot of force champions in the arena, because they can be kind of a pain to deal with. He can be if you don't have a Stultus Dragonbane, you have a JAGG, you can definitely build him a little bit tankier, enough accuracy, which again, he's going to bring himself, and he can be a good Dragon Hard champion for you. Here he is, going in with the increased accuracy, increased crit rate. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. Let's do one more damage check on the A3. Around 102,000 or so, give or take. Not too bad. We're gonna see the A2. Actually, we're gonna see the A3 again. Then we'll see the A2. I'm actually going to go ahead and find little bit tankier teams here. You can try something really crazy. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do it. You can run him and Sun Wukong on the same team. Try something like really crazy out. Let's go against this like tankier, better team, frankly. I still want to keep my... What do I want to do here? I still want to keep... I'll take Kaimar out. And I will put Sun Wukong in. And then we have like 2 nuker champions, both of whom can bring a full buff removal, which is really cool. So if we don't miss this, we have 3 buff removers on this team, right? All 3 of them can remove all buffs from all enemies. Ceres, Sun Wukong, and JAGG. JAGG's going to be like the heavy hitter, the big damage dealer on this team. But I found it very interesting. This is a perfect team to go against, too. So we have 2 stone skins. We remove none with the first go-round, 1 with the second go-round, and now we have another shot here. On the third go-round, we get it. Man, that couldn't have been more perfect, huh, guys? But you can see he can deal some damage. We're going to see his A2 in action. Oh, what was that? Was that his A1? Was that his A2? I missed what happened there. But that was like a perfect battle to demonstrate what I'm showing you, like the cool stuff that you can do with this dude. So, this team is perfect as well, right? Because they're sure to have Stone Skin on Mortu Macabre, probably other champions as well. And then maybe Pythion. Yep. So we're going to do it all over again, right? It's a kind of a cool strategy. And odds are you all have Sun Wukong as well. They're both Spirit Affinity. So you can use a strategy going into teams with a lot of magic affinity or Spirit Affinity. We got to be very careful of Mortu Macabre. We might be in deep, deep trouble right now. We're sure to have activated his peril at this point, right? Can we sheep this dude? Yes, we can. Or we can just kill him. How about that? He's going to get revived, but it's all good. So that A2 is a little bit to be desired. What do you guys think? I mean, it's a 3 attack multiplier, but it's a ×2 hitter. That's actually really good. So... you know, could be rather anecdotal. Let's keep going on with this battle here, though. Oh, Mithrala, I hate going against her. I just recorded a Champions I Hate the Most. It's not out yet, but for the main channel. And yeah, Mithrala's sadly on there. She's sadly on the... She made the list. Why do I hate her? Because of petrification. I love her. She's one of my favorite champions in the game, but I also hate her. I hate going against her is what I should say. Another one of these champions also made the list, coincidentally. Let's go in there. We get 3 resists, so a super high resist team. This is interesting. I'm just going to come in there. Oh, man, I was hoping we get a chance to repeat that attack. I was hoping that would proc. They're resisting everything, even despite the increased accuracy. This is a super cool, high-resist team. I really like it. Let's try that A2 with increased crit damage buff. No increased attack or anything like that. Let's try it on Pythion. Oh my god. Barely touched the dude. Barely touched the dude. And now it comes to the unfortunate part of today's video, where I give my honest assessment of this champion. And the fact of the matter is Sun Wukong is like, yeah, this is what's up, man. How about that? My honest assessment of this champion is I don't think he's an incredible end-game champion. I'd much rather have Sun Wukong, and if you already have Sun Wukong, it's kind of unfortunate timing for this dude, because their kits are, you know, a little bit redundant. Just a little bit, right? They're both kind of stealing buffs. They're both Spirit Affinity. They're both dealing damage as well. I just like Sun Wukong a little bit better because of his passive and because of his A2 that hits quite a bit harder with that, you know, that excess damage as well that can bleed over. So that's the unfortunate thing about this champion. You know, like, look at this team. Look at this dude bragging with 4 hegemons. Should I face it? Let's face it with a different team here. Let's go with my main squad against 4 hegemons to end this video. Apropos of absolutely nothing, but, you know, let's just see what we can do here. Hegemon number 1, 2, 3. They're all Nukemons, man. They're all built to be, like, serious nukers. We were able to withstand. This is my number 1 arena team. If I had to just go in with a blanket, like not knowing who I was going against. Yeah, pretty OP, right? Marichka, Siphi, Yumeko, and Harima. Yeah, wearing my pay-to-win badge of honor here, or badge of shame, should I say. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for the video. I think that JAGG is I would rank him. I'm trying to rank every champion now at the end of these, like letter grade at the end of these videos. So give you a reason to stick around till the end other than 4 hegemon teams. I think I would give this guy a C plus, B minus. You know, very cool kit, can have some utility. I guess I said not very end game, but I guess, you know, again, Dark Fae or Dragon Hard. If you're lacking a champion that can throw those debuffs back, he's got that. The debuff spread is pretty useful, can be handy, especially in lower levels of Hydra. I wouldn't run him in Nightmare or maybe even Brutal. I think that his HP and, you know, a little bit of a lack of overall utility. The debuff spread is nice, but he's not bringing that block buffs like, say, a Sun Wukong is. Anyway, guys, overall, that's how I'd rank him. Not a bad champion. Certainly a lot of damage. Can have a lot of fun with him as well. Just the whole Sun Wukong thing. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.